the MCAT Cars Podcast, session number 35. The Cars section of the MCAT gives thousands of pre-meds nightmares every night. Whether you're an ESL student, lack confidence while reading, or a slow reader like me, Jack Westin and the medical school headquarters are here to help you score higher in every section so you can be confident you're ready to get the MCAT score of your dreams. Welcome to the MCAT Cars Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, and I want to thank you for taking the time to join us today. I'm joined by the founder of JackWestin.com, Jack Westin himself. If you don't know JackWestin.com, if you don't know the legend of Jack Westin, he is the premier MCAT Cars tutor online. He has dedicated his life in the last decade or so plus of his life to helping students figure out how to maximize their score on the MCAT Cars section. And by doing that, he is teaching people how to comprehend better what the MCAT writers are trying to get you to understand. He is teaching people how to better comprehend what they are reading. And that's what we do in this podcast. We go through an article and I read it, and he helps me and helps you by proxy understand what I am reading, try to understand what the author is trying to get at. So that's what we do here at the MCAT Cars Podcast. And I want to thank you for joining us and taking this ride with us. Today, we have a great article all about the universe. Jack Westin back for some more MCAT Cars podcasts. I want to know, have you done your civil duty and eaten less meat this week?
Oh, are you talking about the Impossible Whopper?
Yeah.
Not yet. You know, I should go to Burger King one of these days and try it out.
You have it your way, as they say.
Yeah.
What do we have in store for us today?
So this is very MCAT-like, I would say. Dense, kind of brings up it's kind of a philosophical perspective on things that you may not be aware of or even it's interesting. The last couple of weeks, we've touched on things that you may have heard about or may have discussed or eaten or whatever in a way that you normally don't discuss, right? So we talked about the Impossible Burger, some kind of vegan burger, and how it helps battle climate change. Usually we don't think of that, right, when we're eating a burger. In this case, we're discussing something we don't normally discuss or see, and we're discussing it in a way that we normally don't discuss it in. So it's doubly hard. It's hard in two ways. One, the topic is not that interesting to us, and two, they're discussing ideas that have no relevance to our lives. So it's a more challenging article, which requires you to read more carefully and to pick up on the author's points.
I'm bored already.
We'll see. I mean, I think you'll find some interest in this, Ryan. I think you'll like it. That's the tip I give a lot of students. Look, there are 9 passages on this test. After those 9, you never have to read MCAT passages again, MCAT Cars passages again. So you might as well enjoy what you're reading, right? And you may never know. Like after today, you may read this article and you may go to your friends or your cousin or someone and go, oh, you know what? Did you know that the universe was described in this way or that way? So, you never know. You may find some interest in it and look at it as something that you may not ever do again if it's not for now, right? So, eventually if you're going into medicine, you're going to be focused on that for 4 to 8 years, and you probably don't have time to read articles of this nature. You might not even have interest in it. So That's why I like to say, look, find some interest in whatever you're reading, because it's probably the only and last time you're going to read this article.
Yeah, it's interesting, the kind of have fun with it, right? Just grin and bear it, have fun. The whole like put a pencil in your mouth to force yourself to smile will change your attitude kind of trick. I talk to students about like preparing for their interviews and the MMI. I'm like, look, you should have fun on the MMI. And when students actually embrace that, they come back from their interview day going, that was really fun. I'm like, yes, it is.
It's so hard to do, right? Easy said, hard to do because there's so much pressure.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you change that pressure, Ryan? What do you recommend to your students when they're interviewing? Like, what do you tell them to kind of ease down or ease up on it.
At the end of the day, the interview isn't to prove yourself, to prove how amazing you are. And that's where most of the stress comes from for a student is I have to prove myself. I have to show them how amazing I am. I hate talking about myself and selling myself. I'm like, well, that's good because that's not what you have to do. You just have to go and be yourself and have a conversation. And when students really kind of embrace that, then they connect with their interviewers and have a good time.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I think the same goes for the MCAT. A lot of times students think, well, if I'm taking this test to prove to my friends and family and myself that I'm smart. It's not about that. It's just a test you have to take to see if you really want medicine, right? The score is important, but not as important as just taking the test and just working hard.
Yeah.
Right. And I think students forget that or lose sight of that. So
I guarantee you a patient will never ask you what you got on your MCAT.
They don't even know what school you went to, right?
They don't even know what the MCAT is. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All right. So jumping into our article today, again, you want to follow along in the show notes. There's a link to the article that we are about to dive into. First paragraph. The most incomprehensible thing about the universe is that it is comprehensible, Albert Einstein famously once said. All right. So we're leading off with a quote from Albert Einstein, which is kind of confusing because it's kind of like it's opposite, right? It's incomprehensible that it's comprehensible. So that's confusing.
So that sentence throws off so many students, right? And that's when they go, oh man, I suck at this.
I'm done.
I'm done. I can't do this. So I got to retake, or void.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to go with it. You never know. Something might ease up and, it might get easier as you keep reading. But yeah, so something about understanding, right? So it is something that you can understand. Okay, go ahead. Keep reading.
These days, however, it is far from being a matter of consensus that the universe is comprehensible or even that it is unique. All right. So the quote is from Albert Einstein, and they say these days. Obviously, Albert Einstein is no longer with us. So these days, meaning kind of present time, it is far from being a matter of consensus that the universe is that is comprehensible. So I think they're saying that everybody agrees that it's comprehensible. Is that what it's saying?
Well, it's saying that it's far from being a matter. It's not necessarily comprehensible. So there might not be some comprehension.
Okay.
But that's beyond the point. The point that they're really trying to make is that it's not even unique, or even that it is unique. So we don't. It's questioning whether the universe itself is unique or not unique. We don't know exactly where the author is going with this, but you should think of it in terms of not just comprehension, but also uniqueness. Is the universe unique or not unique?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Fundamental physics is facing a crisis related to two popular concepts that are frequently invoked, summarized tellingly by the buzzwords, quote, multiverse and, quote, uglyverse. Ooh, okay. So then we're taken from this unique and comprehensible to talking about physics, and physics is facing a crisis.
Good. So what kind of picture is the author painting? Certainty or uncertainty?
Uncertainty.
Okay. Uniqueness or not unique?
Not unique.
Not unique, because it's saying multiverse and uglyverse. Again, why would there be a multiverse if there's an uglyverse, right? So it's maybe not unique. It might not be something that we can understand. It sounds negative, crisis, right? So knowing that vibe will help you understand the rest of this passage. You don't have to understand everything exactly, because I promise you, you don't need to. You don't need to be a PhD in physics to be able to get this, get the questions right. You just have to know, okay, there's a problem. There's a problem with comprehension. There's a problem with uniqueness. That's it, right? And they described it in these two ways, multiverse and uglyverse. That's it. Let's keep going and let's see where it heads us to.
All right. Next paragraph. Multiverse proponents advocate the idea that there may exist innumerable other universes, some of them with totally different physics and numbers of spatial dimensions, and that you, I, and everything else may exist in countless copies. That's kind of scary. This is starting to read like tons of movies that I've seen that talk about multiverses and all the different kind of possibilities out there. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit more fun to read because I'm like, oh, I've seen movies like this.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is The One. Ever seen that with Jet Li? Love that movie.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, it's a good movie about multiverses and stuff. But yeah, okay, go ahead.
The new Spider-Man, if you haven't seen the new Spider-Man, is really, really good. It's all about multiverses as well.
I haven't seen it, but what's that movie that just came out? Everyone's talking about it. The Avengers.
The Avengers one, yeah.
There's a bunch of them, so I have to catch up on that.
Got to do it. Yeah, Spider-Man's really good. All right. The multiverse may be the most dangerous idea in physics, argues the South African cosmologist George Ellis. Ooh, the multiverse may be the most dangerous idea in physics. So the way that he's saying, it sounds like he's saying that we shouldn't be thinking about a multiverse because it's dangerous to think of that. I think
this is someone else's point of view, right? George Ellis. But why would the author bring it up? Maybe because they agree with it, right? We have to see. It seems like there's a crisis from the previous paragraph. So this is consistent with danger, right? Danger, crisis. So yeah, you just maybe understanding multiverse is more than enough. Like you don't even need to understand multiverse. But if you do, great. Knowing it's dangerous is more important. Knowing that there's a problem, or at least that's what George Ellis believes, is the key. Okay, go ahead.
Ever since the early days of science, finding an unlikely coincidence prompted an urge to explain, a motivation to search for the hidden reason behind it. So the author is just trying to talk about science and our kind of search for the unknown and trying to explain everything.
Okay.
One modern example, the laws of physics appear to be finely tuned to permit the existence of intelligent beings who can discover those laws, a coincidence that demands explanation. That's weird. So the author is saying, here's an example, right? We have these laws of physics, and we have humans that are smart enough to discover the laws of physics. And apparently that's a coincidence.
Yes, that's a coincidence, and it's something that we can try to understand, right? It's something that we should focus on. Why try to understand these laws, try to understand why we understand them, right? So that's what the author's saying. It's important to be able to kind of get explanations for these coincidences.
Ooh, okay. Next paragraph. With the advent of the multiverse, this has changed. As unlikely as a coincidence may appear, in the zillions of universes that compose the multiverse, it will exist somewhere. So now the author is saying, well, nothing is really coincidence because we have so many universes that everything is bound to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So this is interesting because why the heck are we talking about this?
I don't know. I'm so confused.
We were talking about multiverses being dangerous. Now we're going into coincidences. So this is something that happens on the MCAT. A lot of students are thinking, well, how does this connect with what I just read? And I want you to challenge yourself to think about that, right? Most of the time when the author brings up a point, they want to explain their point. They want to go into it more deeply. That's what the author's doing here. The author is telling us, okay, the multiverse idea is dangerous. Now they're describing why. Well, one of the reasons why is because, first of all, we base our theories and stuff on coincidences, and we try to explain coincidences. But if we have this multiverse idea, then it challenges coincidences. So maybe that's why there's danger. Maybe because the multiverse stuff affects the way we interpret science or the way we interpret stuff, which is based on coincidences. Okay, so there's a connection to be made. I don't know if that's confusing or not, but basically the paragraph about coincidences is leading to something about the problem. And that's something that I want you to be aware of. When you're reading, ask yourself, well, why did the author discuss this? Maybe to bring up a more important point or to go back to the point that we were making before.
Okay. And if the coincidence seems to favor the emergence of complex structures, life and consciousness, we shouldn't even be surprised to find ourselves in a universe that allows us to exist in the first place. Whoa. Okay. So now the author is saying that we shouldn't be surprised that humans exist because, again, we there with physics allows complex structures, life and consciousness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. But this anthropic reasoning in turn implies that we can't predict anything anymore. So anthropic reasoning would throw me off. It's in quotes. So I'd have to just keep reading and hope that I'll figure it out later. But I think the key part of the sentence is we can't predict anything anymore.
That's it. That's it. You don't need to worry about anthropic reasoning. That it makes no difference for us. All we know is that we can't predict anything anymore. So by having a multiverse, there goes our prediction. So this coincidence stuff was discussing it in a way to predict stuff. And it just cleared it up, right? So don't worry about the coincidence paragraph. They're not going to ask questions about that paragraph. I promise you. What they're going to focus on is whether or not you understand the multiverse stuff affects our predictions, affects the way we look at things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. There is no obvious guiding principle for the CERN physicists searching for new particles. So, no guiding principle for the CERN physicists. So I don't know what that would... So he goes from can't predict anything to no guiding principle.
Well, this is just establishing the physicist. We don't know a lot about this, so we just have to keep reading and see where it's going, right? Maybe it's... I always tell my students, stand by. Stand by.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's a good military thing. Stand by.
Stand by. You know, let's see what happens. Keep going.
Okay.
Don't freak out. Don't panic. Don't, you know what I mean? Like a lot of students at this point, they're just talking to themselves, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep reading. Let's see. Go ahead.
Okay. And there is no fundamental law to be discovered behind the accidental properties of the universe. So it looks like the author with those last two sentences is basically like, I don't know why these physicists are trying to search for anything. We just need to go along for the ride. There's nothing to do here.
Right. So it's basically suggesting that if we have multiverses, we cannot predict anything and we wouldn't have any laws. There wouldn't be fundamental laws because it's so random. There's infinite versions of things. So there are no laws. There are no predictions that we can make. Everything's random depending on the universe, right? So again, you don't have to know that. All you got to know is, multiverse, dangerous, right? Bad. Okay, can't make predictions. That's it. That's all you need to know. The more layman, the more basic you keep it, the better off you are, right? And I see a lot of students always delving into all these little details. You're gonna lose your sanity if you do that. You're gonna get confused to the point where you just don't know what to do, right? So focus on the big picture. You know the trend. Talking about the multiverse, talking about how it's bad, how you can't make predictions. That's it. You'll be able to answer pretty much every question if you can do that.
Okay. All right. Next paragraph here. Quite different, but not less dangerous, is the other challenge, the quote, uglyverse. According to theoretical physicist Sabine Hossenfelder, modern physics has been led astray by its bias for, quote, beauty, giving rise to mathematically elegant speculative fantasies without any contact to experiment. Oh, okay. So we're giving a name here of a new physicist, Hossenfelder, and we're given brought back to this uglyverse idea. Oh,
okay.
All right.
Yeah. So just describing a new way of looking at the universe, uglyverse, right? And how maybe people are focused on beauty, and maybe that's not correct. We don't know, but it does present uglyverse in a negative way, right?
Yeah.
It says not less dangerous, so it's still dangerous, right? This uglyverse idea, and it brings up Hossenfelder's point of view, right? This is how the uglyverse works, right? Where it's most people focus on the beauty. Maybe we shouldn't, right? That's what the uglyverse is all about. But as we know, the author probably doesn't like this uglyverse idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Physics has been, quote, lost in math, she argues. So again, more of Hassenfelder's idea here about ugly and beauty and math for physics.
Okay.
But then what physicists call, quote, beauty are structures and symmetries. So this is the author here saying beauty for physicists is structures and symmetries, and I'm assuming the math to make that happen.
Okay.
If we can't rely on such concepts anymore, the difference between comprehension and a mere fit to experimental data will be blurred. Wow. All right. At this last paragraph, and I hate when I'm reading these, when the last paragraph throws me off, it's like stumbling into the finish line. Like I'm not going to make it. And then you have to go to the questions. You're like, it just ruins the confidence for everything else I just read.
You got to read a lot of these and be aware of what's important in order to tackle that problem. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's the key here. What can you summarize? What do you think is going on in this paragraph?
The big takeaways for me are the uglyverse, which is still dangerous. Physics and math and trying to explain things. I don't know.
Okay, so what it's trying to say is that look, uglyverse is different from this beauty kind of thing that we like to do. We're biased and we like to look at things in beauty. And uglyverse is saying, okay, look, we don't have to do that, right? But the author at the end says, if we lose that sight of beauty, then there is no comprehension. So I don't think you really need to know it to that degree. I think all you got to really do is go, okay, uglyverse, dangerous, right? Multiverse, dangerous, right? That's it. I mean, if you know the author does not like uglyverse and multiverse, you'd be surprised, but you could probably get 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 questions right. And that's enough to get a 129 on this test. So, I mean, big picture, don't worry about all the little details. Tell yourself, stand by. Let's see what's happening. Let's see where it's going. These things will help you along your way. The multiverse and the uglyverse challenge our ability to comprehend the universe. It's these things, these ways of looking at the universe hurt our comprehension, right? So by making it less unique, by saying, okay, look, there's a lot of them, right? It's not unique. And by suggesting that there's no beauty, right? It's ugly, is taking away our ability to understand it. That's what the author is trying to portray. Now, again, you don't have to have that perfect main idea. Uglyverse, multiverse, bad, right? Dangerous. Knowing that is good enough.
All right, so there you have it. It's another great MCAT Cars podcast for you. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to share it with a friend so that they know that this podcast is out there for them. If you want more help from Jack Westin, go to medicalschoolhq.net/Jack Westin or text the word CARS coupon to 44222, and you can get a $100 off coupon to Jack's course, where he helps students more in-depth and more one-on-one get better with their reading comprehension and with their MCAT comprehension. Again, text the word CARS coupon to 44222 to get a link and activate a $100 off coupon to that course. That is an affiliate coupon. You save some money. I get a little beer money. So hopefully, if you do want to take Jack's course, use that link and help support us here at MedEd Media. I hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time here on the MCAT Cars podcast.
This is MedEd Media.